Here we go then. This is it. It comes down to this, doesn't it? England against Norway, the biggest game in such a long time for England. Well, the biggest game since that Mexico game. What a performance that was. I do want to set some expectations for this game because I think that Mexico victory, the emotions of it, the way that it came about, you've got to just remember Mexico battered us for large parts of that game. And if you actually look back at the goals, they were breakaway goals. The second goal coming so quickly after the first was a bit of a stroke of luck. The 17-year-old, unfortunately for Mexico and unfortunately for him, gave the ball away in his own half. And Bellingham and co pounced on it and then got the goal. And to get a penalty right after the red card, again, what a moment. We did things at the right times, the absolute perfect times in that game. And I say that because we have allowed teams in this competition to have a lot of the ball and to get into those wide areas, and we seem quite comfortable allowing teams to cross the ball. Now, if we do that and we allow that against Norway, I don't think it will end well. And this is the reason. I mean, he's in absolutely sensational form, Erling Haaland. Everything he touches turns to gold and goes in the back of the net. What a performance it was against Brazil. And he didn't need to do much for the majority of the game. And that is why he is so special, to be that alive at that time of the game. It just makes those defenders very much more aware that they cannot switch off at any moment. He's on 7 goals and is, of course, chasing the Golden Boot and his first ever World Cup. A bit of team news. As you know, Quansah is suspended, so Reece James looks to be in line for a start at this tournament once more. That also gives me anxiety, because if you've got a hamstring injury and you're just coming back from it, you don't want to be up against Haaland, you don't want to be up against Nusa or Sorloth or any of these speedsters, but you can be sure that they are going to target Reece James at right back should he start. That's why I would not start him, regardless of his fitness. It's clear that he's not 100% fit, and as I say, a hamstring is not something you rush back from. Now, it must be said, for Norway, they didn't really create that much against Brazil. We can see the pressure monitor. The average pressure is favouring them, but in the first half, they didn't create much. Maybe that was their plan, to absorb the pressure. We can see the XG for Brazil, 2.22, but of course they had a penalty, which is 0.79 XG, and for Norway, under 1 XG. Haaland's second goal was sensational, really. The touch, the finish through the legs and out of the reach of Alisson, absolutely superb. Brazil had more shots in the game, but as you can see, Norway were more clinical. 5 of their 9 shots were on target. And they've scored in every game that they've played, and as we'll see by taking a look at the form guide in a moment for both England and Norway, they're just in some sensational goal-scoring form at this moment in time. Now then, this is a list that England fans will not want to see, and it does make player prop selections a little bit tricky, doesn't it? Because Bellingham, O'Reilly, Rice and Guehi all on a yellow card, which means another one will have them miss the semi-final, which could be against Argentina, of course, yet to be seen. And for Norway, just one player is in the same situation, and that is the winger Nusa, who is a nuisance for sure, especially if he's up against Reece James. I've seen some England fans saying that we should start Bellingham on the bench and bring him on, or just rest these players. You don't rest these players in a game like this, by the way. Bellingham has to play every second that he physically can. He is superb. There's no denying that. O'Reilly, I think maybe if we had a left back in the team, we could rest him. This is why it's bizarre that we don't have Lewis Hall in the team, even Luke Shaw. I think Lewis Hall is miles better and, you know, more capable and stuff, and naturally a left back. But O'Reilly now needs to be very, very careful, and he wasn't careful in Mexico because he elbowed somebody in the head. That's why he got a yellow card. Silly, silly boy. He is young, so he is forgiven. Now we'll take a look at cards for the competition for both of these teams because it does paint an interesting picture. Not too many cards for both teams, but certainly for Norway. They've received just 0.4 cards per game, over 2.5 cards in none of their games that they have played. And I think the card average probably was bumped up for England by that previous game. We can just take a look at the cards in total. There were 7 in the game against Mexico compared to just 2 against Congo, 3 against Panama, 2 against Ghana, and none against Croatia. But those 3 games there in a row for England were very, very different to that Mexico game. And as I said at the top of the video, even against Congo, we allowed their wingers so much space. We cannot do this against Norway, but it has been a constant pattern that I've noticed. Okay, against Panama and Ghana, they sat back, we had all the ball, we broke them down eventually, as you know we expect to. With Panama, Ghana, not so lucky in that one. And for Norway, they have been booked in just 2 of their 5 games. Let's take a look at the tips section, link in the description if you want to check this out for any game in the World Cup. Both teams to score comes with a 6% edge as per our probability model. 1.7 is the price. And look, I keep going back to it, but England have allowed teams to put crosses into the box. We were under serious pressure in that Mexico game, not just when Quansah was sent off, but before that as well. It must be said at the end of the first half, and we needed massive saves from Jordan Pickford, where Jimenez both times got on the end of crosses. If that's Haaland, does the ball hit the back of the net? Maybe. Over 2.5 goals also being suggested here with a 9% edge, as is England over 1.5 goals. Not a value play though here, because the odds are 1.8. We did get this for the Croatia game, didn't we, at over evens, which was very, very nice. Now let's take a look at the form guide. It's always fun taking a look at this page, especially when Norway are involved. They've scored in each of their last 10 games. There's been over 2.5 goals in 9 of those 10 games. There's been over 3.5 goals in 7 of those 10 games. BTTS and over 2.5 goals in 8 of the 10. There are so many goals whenever they play. BTTS in the second half, we actually had this on for the Senegal game, didn't we, at 3.75, I think it was. I could see this again happening, to be honest. It might be a nervy, tight first 45 minutes. Let's see how the game plays out. They are the top scoring team across the last 10 games. No team has scored more goals in the last 10 than Norway. 37. What do you think about that? And 24 of the 37 come in the second half, and that also ranks them first as well. Can England realistically stop them from scoring? Let's take a look at England, because they've scored 2 or more in 9 of their last 10 games. How many will they get against Norway? It's going to be an interesting game, this one, because I think for the first time, England may need to play like the dominant team in this competition. We saw signs of it against Croatia, and they conceded 2 but scored 4. I think that is the kind of game Tuchel prefers, because he knows we've got the players on the break to score against anybody. If you give Harry Kane time and space anywhere near the goal, he's going to get it on target, and it's going to be a very difficult shot for the keeper to save. And if the game gets stretched, I think that suits us with the players we have on the break. England have not conceded after 70 minutes in any of these games, and they defended superbly against Mexico. I think if that game continued to be played for another 20 minutes, I don't think Mexico would have scored. We were allowing them to cross the ball from everywhere, as I've mentioned a few times on this video, but when you've got Big Dan Burn in there, who can head it past halfway, it's going to be difficult for you. This is another interesting one as well. England have actually scored 2 or more in the second half in 6 of the last 10. So they are a bit of a second half team. One of the best predictions I think we had during the World Cup for England was that they would be drawing at half time and they would win the second half. That was against Panama. It came in, and we can see as well they've scored after 70 minutes in 6 of the last 10. They've scored first in 8 of the last 10. More shots than their opponents in 9. You get the idea. Right, let's make some predictions for this huge game between Norway and England. So my first selection here for the England game is that Norway will score in the second half as England's defence tires. I think Norway do have a bit more cutting edge than Mexico, and again, I just want to bring some England fans back to reality here. We had our backs against the wall in that game even before the red card, and it's completely understandable given the situation, the environment of the game. But our goals in this tournament have been breakaway goals. We needed late winners against Congo. You know, we need to actually look at the goals that we've scored and the way that we've played in this competition. I'm yet to see us truly dominate against a decent opposition, and this would be a great place to start, don't get me wrong, and I do have belief in the players, but I say this for a second game in a row that improvement is needed in terms of how we attack teams and keep the ball. The Mexico result and performance was absolutely sensational, no doubt about that, and they defended very, very well, but we need to improve. We need to improve how we keep the ball and where we funnel the opposition, because if we just allow as many crosses as we have been doing in the previous few games, Haaland will get his moment, and I do like the price here of him to have a headed shot on target in this game. So that is my first selection. Norway to score in the second half and Haaland to have a headed shot on target. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. Is it a bit too specific for you? And my second prediction is Anthony Gordon to have a shot on target. He has done so in all but one of his World Cup appearances so far. His last couple of appearances, he's been fantastic. Off the bench against Congo to create 2 goals, and of course an awesome performance, really, so much energy against Mexico. He can create a shot on target out of nothing for himself, there's no doubt about that. BTTS, the bookies are expecting this, as are many, many people. I do think England will be breached in this game. It's just whether we can go up the other end and score a couple of goals ourselves. I think if Norway attack us, that is the best thing we can hope for, because then we will have space to operate as well. And with the players we've got at the top end of the pitch and Bellingham arriving late into the box as well, we will score goals in this game. And corners, England usually get corners. That Mexico game, I think they had exactly 3. I think they'll get over 3 in this game, as they have in every other World Cup game and the majority of games in their recent history as well. And I'm sure they would have got more than 3 in that Mexico game had they not had a man sent off as well at that crucial time. And my scoreline prediction for this one, I'm going to go with my heart over my head and say 2-1 to England. Norway score first, England come back, dramatic stuff once more. Incidentally, my head says that Norway can get through in this game if England continue to allow teams the amount of the ball that they have done in recent games. I just think if we play how we did against Congo, and again, I know the Mexico game is such an isolated game and everyone is joyous after it because of the way we dug in and it was an elite defensive performance, but if you're England, you don't really want to have to be with your backs against the wall and defending like that. You want to be the one pushing onto teams, and I get that the situation in Mexico was a bit different, but still, we can't offer the same chances to Norway and Haaland, because I believe they will punish us. So my head is saying that Norway can get through here. And in this video, we're going to have a bonus section for the Argentina-Switzerland game. I've been doing individual fixture predictions for these quarterfinals, but we are going to bundle this one in with the England game. So, Argentina against Switzerland, Messi looking to get to another semi-final and potentially play Norway or England. What a game that would be. Now, the Switzerland-Colombia game was 0-0, of course, and I could see this one being a low-scoring affair. Certainly, if Argentina improve, I do think they'll have to, and this is the second game in a row that we are saying this. So I'm going to go with Argentina to be winning at half-time and full-time, as they have been in the majority of their games in recent history, and under 4 goals in this one. And this leads into my scoreline prediction, which is 2-0 for Argentina. So who is going to be in the semi-final? Will it be Argentina and England, or will it be Switzerland and Norway, or will it be another combination? Let us all know in the comments for your chance to win Odd Alerts Pro.